Hey guys, how's it going? October 16th, 2022. Hopefully I got this screen right, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm just checking this out for a minute. Sorry, I had some weird, goofy stuff going on. It looks okay now. Okay, so that's going. I'm just waiting for that minimized. Okay, so once that pops up, I think I minimized that. Alright, good enough. There's a bit of a delay, it's just, I wanted to make sure. Anyways, guys, here we go. Things are somewhat calm. I guess, yeah, actually, it's really quiet at the moment. Another great weekend. Went by quick as usual. Let me just go back into the chat here for a second. But there he is. How you doing, Scott? So yeah, things fairly quiet on both Train Sim and RTS forums at the moment. Not much of anything happening. Ditto with the Discord. I've seen more screenshots continue to come with Railroader. So we definitely know. I mean, they're still producing screenshots all the time, which is cool. I wouldn't mind seeing another live stream personally. That'd be nice. But hard to say if that's going to happen sooner, when, whatever. I don't know if nobody. Now, I haven't been really following the Discord because honestly, following a Discord that's very busy and active is very difficult for me to follow. Especially when the conversations start getting heavy. I'm more of a forums person because I just can't go through the noise, and there's a lot of noise usually to go through, which is why I prefer forums, to be quite honest. However, when forums are dead, give me a Discord any day, and my Discord is pretty dead at the moment, as well as forums, the Train Sim forums, you name it. Hell, I would take a Train Sim type Discord or something like that at the moment, but it's fairly quiet. Not much to talk about, not much conversations. Things have calmed down on the Train Sim front, as far as I can tell. The messages that were off topic were deleted. The original, I would say, messages that were kind of unfair to me, I think, were also deleted, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't care. That's good enough for me. As long as as long as I'm not being dragged through any mud, I don't care, and things are quiet, and that's fine. I'll stay on topic or not say anything at all. If I got nothing good to say, I'm not going to say anything. So there's really not much to say at the moment. I've made my point. I'm not going to post messages or do stuff like this on Train Sim, obviously. This is for those that are interested. So, that being said, what am I doing on the weekends? Well, I am still doing Medieval Dynasty. We are just past 120 hours into that. So it's definitely, considering the amount of time we've had it, 120 hours is a lot of time to put into a title that I don't think I've had for much more than a month, if that. So it's impressive, it's fun. However, I have noticed that, especially on weekends, I like in the week because I look forward to it during the week. To some extent, though, because a lot of times what happens is my son and I will switch turns, and then we'll do other things. But we do a lot, we go out a little bit, but we don't go out that much. For the most part, we spend most of our time in front of the computer. playing that game. That is our primary focus on the weekend, and having fun and talking. And we do go out. We rode on the beaches of Lake Erie today. It was a beautiful day, and we got some exercise along there. And don't know how many more days like that we're gonna get. So yeah, we were shooting the shit. Hey, Bob. Shooting the shit out there, and then came back and took a couple turns each for about an hour or two each into that, and that was it. So once you've played it a lot, especially whether it be on a weekend or during the week, I'm starting to find that 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. time slot when I do my thing and my son does his thing. I find that little time slot is getting interesting. Not that I'm getting bored of it, but I don't want to overdo it. Now it's kind of weird because I mean I love it. I mean even today I was just like, man, this is cool. But at some point it's just like, okay, yeah, you know, you want to kind of cool off, and he's got his stuff upstairs and does his things, and probably into trains, and I even think he said something about American Truck Simulator or something like that, although he hasn't really gone into it yet, but he's talked about it. And I said, I really don't have any interest to go into American Truck Simulator at the moment. So now I'm in a kind of an idling phase. I wasn't going to do this until 2022 or 2023, I should say, because I was going to wait and see. I wanted to wait and see, but unfortunately, I got that little gap in time. So I started to ask myself. I was like, okay, so I have two options. I could go ahead and get back into a simulator like Run 8 and just do stuff that may amount to nothing. And I'd be in it for, who knows, 2 months, maybe 3 months tops, and that'd be it. Or I can push that envelope and see where it's going to take me. And I think I'm going for the latter. I think that's where I want to go. I think that's where my heart is. I think about this too much. This is the second biggest thing as far as hobbies that are on my mind. I think about playing that game. As far as Medieval Dynasty, that's something I always look forward to. I enjoy it, but I don't want to overdo it. After 120 hours, and I mean, split that into at least two. I've done at least 60, 70 hours myself easily. So now I'm at a point where, okay, now I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? And I found last night I was kind of bored, and I ended up falling asleep watching YouTube. I was just like, okay, when I start falling asleep watching YouTube, I know I'm bored. I'm just trying to waste time to get to the next day, and I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that on a weekend, especially when I got to go to work the next day. It's like, we ain't doing that. So this is where we're at. It's the pseudocode phase. So anyways, what I would do in this situation, because I only have anything that I'm kind of thinking in my head as to how I want to do it. Now I don't have any design software, so the best software to use probably would be paint software. That is a little bit too bright for my liking. Let me fill that in then. That's a little better. At least I can stand it. How about the yellow? I don't like the white. I actually like the high contrast colors. They're much easier on my eyes. I could change my whole screen. I just don't like that color at the top. It's just too bright. That's why everything like this, it's like this. This is how I like it. I don't mind this. but I don't like the... ugh. Can I change this? Can I change this color? No, I can't. I probably can't change that. It's high contrast. Oh, no, don't cancel that. That's just bugging with my eyes. I don't like that. Let me know how you guys think. How do you like, Scott? I know you got issues with the eyes. What's your eyes looking like? Do you give a shit? I don't know. Scott, okay, before I start this, you were talking about what do you use again? Do you use Sketchit, or you use as far as your models? Do you use Sketchit, or do you use what the hell is that? Blender? Because I'm curious. I'm curious about that because I've thought about that. Now I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll leave it at this for now. Let's just talk about here which directions we want to go. There's two directions I can go. Both of them can start with a pseudocode of pretty much the same idea, but I'll let this go for this for a minute. So I've seen a lot of, in fact, the last comment I made, I think, was in the Train Sim World section of Train Sim. And there was some nice looking pictures that were coming in there. I use both 3D... What's 3D Builder? What the hell is that? Is Microsoft 3D Builder free? Probably not. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's a 3D printing thing. Oh yeah. I think I was looking at it. Now that you mention it, I do remember playing around in it a little bit, but I didn't really do too much with it. 'Cause I don't know where to go into that, but I'm just curious. So 3D Builder, I'll have to keep that in mind. Okay. So let's start. Let's start now. Let's go back. Let's go back over to here. Ooh, that's really small. I don't want it that small. I want to be able to read it. About 20. So I don't know if I'm going to get into the October 16th, 2022. So, 3D Builder, Blender, shit, what's the other one that I was talking about? I just had it, but I can't think of the name of it now. There's another one. I'll do 3D Builder for now, but maybe 3D Builder was the one that replaced it. There was another one that used to be free that I don't know. I can't think of the name of it. I said it before, but I can't come to the name of it. I'm not too good with the 3D design things. Uh, just basic. So this is basically brainstorming as far as the different things. So possible tools to be used would be 3D Builder, Blender, Just Basic, C whatever version, whether it's C Sharp. I'm not a big fan of actually Just Basic. Let me go so far as to put Visual Basic. I would much rather, if I'm going to get a .NET something, I'd rather go hopefully Visual Basic than C. I know C will use Unity. I think it uses Unreal Engine as well, but it can you can use other languages. Just Basic, hell no. Just Basic is not going to work with a graphics engine. So that it's Just Basic for non-graphics. Alright, so that's the tools I'm looking at right now. I'll go so far as paint whatever I can find cheap or free for 2D modeling. What do you call them? I can't even think of the names. See how well I know my 2D modeling and I'll just call it panels. So technically, you can make a 2D image that goes onto a 3D object. There's a word I'm thinking of, but so this is the tools I'm looking at the moment. So that's the tools. Whoops. Yeah. Let's just put that there. I don't have tabs that work. Okay. So there's two pseudocode design paths to consider. You've got the 2D. So the one way is going to be through a like a 2D. 2D freight yard with AI, and 2 would be a 3D train simulator with AI. AI, I'll make it clear here, dispatching. So basically, the pseudocode here that's repeating itself, regardless of which way I go, would be the dispatching, switching, the AI. Those are the designs that I can consider right now. I don't know whether or not I'm going to go the 2D route, the 3D route. The 3D road is much more ambitious. I'm going into new territory. The key about, as far as the new territory goes, is I have the time. Let's see here. Yeah, it's built in, yeah. Yeah, I've been into 3D Builder before. I remember doing it before. Yeah, it's built in. I remember screwing around with it. It's more 3D Builder is more set up, if I recall. It's more set up, and I even saw it in the description. It was more set up for 3D printers. And I think, if I recall, Blender gives you the more advanced tools about adding shit to it. I don't know if definitely animations. From what my son was saying, he told me that Blender is more about character modeling. It's really good at character modeling, which is something you don't see a lot in train simulators, nor am I really that interested in it. The big things that I'm looking for, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, when you talk about vegetation and all that stuff, a lot of Unity and both Unity and Unreal have their vegetations. They have a lot of assets already in, whether it's nature and stuff like that. Obviously, the actual railroad tracks, the railroad cars, the structures, the lighting, the signals, the grade crossings, cars, as in automobile cars, so you got traffic flow. If I was to do 3D, both for 3D and 2D, they will have AI conductors, so they will be present. They would be part of the system, so the character models to some degree would be required. So there's really no way around it. So it's got to look somewhat good. The 3D, going the 3D route. The good part about it is I can still go the 2D route and change my mind later, and still have everything that I learned in the 2D route that made it work right, even if it's in a deep alpha. And what I mean, I shouldn't say a deep alpha, more like a shallow alpha, where it is barely a program, and it's able to do a lot of, because what you have with graphics a lot of times too, if you're not say for example, even on a 2D side now, I have access to the Open Street Maps or whatever the hell it's called. And it's very easy to get. That's one thing that got my attention right away, was how easy it is for me to get a full schematic of an entire network, rail network, and they do a pretty good job. They're not perfect, but it does a pretty good job, and then you can always alter it later. The only considerations that I have to put into it is the consideration of the distance between the actual scale. So it's given it indicates in degrees north, degrees north longitude, west longitude, and so I would have to convert that into, I believe it's metric with Unity. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to look into it. It's not a big deal. Metric conversion or feet engine. What the hell they call that? Feet inches. That's what is that called? I don't know. I say universal for some. There's Imperial is the word I'm thinking. So the Imperial measurements is what feet and inches are considered. What the U.S. does. Metric, pretty much everywhere around. Canada does it. Most of Europe does it. I don't know. I don't know that many places. Maybe Australia does feet inches. Of course, the railroads in North America all use miles. So they always use the imperial measurement as far as and feet. They definitely use feet as far as measurements, as far as how many feet for rolling stock, etc. And they also use tons. So that again is also, they don't use kilos or anything like that. So they're using an imperial measurement. So it's always horsepower per tons, even in Canada, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, it's built in. I like 3D Builder as file sizes once done, usually much smaller, and megabyte wise. Just taking it from 3D Builder, import to Blender without any mods. Gross megabyte wise. GIMP, that's the other one, is a great paint texture tool. Oh yeah, GIMP. That's okay. I heard about that. My son mentioned it. See, he would have been okay. So I'll put GIMP in there as well. Okay, GIMP. Yeah, I'll look into that. There was another one too, but that's okay. Let me save this for now, in case I lose it. What do we want to do? Drawings with high quality, good quality. Well, we don't need high quality, that's for damn sure. Lower quality. I can go for GIFs. I don't care. Okay. Good. So that's saved in the background. So, as I was saying, the good thing about doing it in the 2D first, or at least getting the design structures in and how you're going to do the AI and stuff like that, works pretty much. I mean, it's pretty solid. So what I would probably do, there's two AI functions that are important. Number one, let's just get into it here. Let's work on the AI functions, and then we'll pseudocode it from there. Yeah, I'm going to have to look at some of the design packages. Let me just take a quick look at, see what's out there. Okay, that's YouTube. That's a book. eDraw Soft. I have not been into vector art. Well, since it went into here, let me just see. Paint is horrible for doing systems flow diagrams. I know how to do the system flow diagrams. So for let me see if I can find one for you guys. I'll show you what I mean. And it's been a long time since I've used one. And we're talking about the original designs of RTS. I don't have the old paperwork. Actually, I do. Probably somewhere in here I have the original designs I had for RTS. They're totally outdated. Because I believe Run 8 was able to do it. Run 8 was able to do pretty much everything that I imagined could be possible back in... Microsoft Train Simulator wasn't quite there, I know that, but Run 8 was pretty much able to do everything. Even, I would say, I would go so far as to say even... Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say Train Sim World was. To some extent, in many ways, yes, in other ways, hell no. But Run 8 was... I don't know if it did everything. I can't remember what the original design was, but I don't think 3D switching was something, or it's not 3D, AI switching was something that was really on my mind so much. But let me see. Okay, I'm in images right now. I'm going to try template. No, that ain't it. Oh, I forget what they're called. Design chart. No, that ain't it either. Where are those? Okay, here we go. We're getting closer. Ah, that's them. Here they are. I remember them. So, back in the day, that's one. Let me open this up here and see if we got... We used to be able to do this just basically on paper, so I'd be like at my grandmother's house or something like that. Oh God, are you kidding me? Can you get me to a graphic, please? Do I really have to read a book? What happened to my image? Here. Just open the image. Oh, come on. Give me the image. Give me the image. That is a horrible image. Okay. So, anyways. Yeah. So there's pseudocode. This is it right here. There we go. Yeah, so you got your this is very similar to electronics in a lot of ways, because actually I was considering being an electrician as well. It is primary, undesired, intermediate. Nah, that's different. That's a different pseudocode. Nah, that's wrong. That's not the same damn codes, unless they've changed the methodology. This is what it kind of looked like to me. That's more like a top-down flow. That's close. I wish I had. It's close too, but not quite. I'll find one. Of course, I'm all old school backwards. Ooh, that's different. Data structure diagram. Okay. Like this is like really goofy shit. And really, it doesn't matter how it is. Okay, that's it. Linear optimization. Okay. Yes. All right. So you have logic in here where it does something. A triangle will give you your ifs. That's close. At least you get to the triangle portion. Back in, and I'm trying to think of when it was. I would say, oh God, how old was I? Man, it had to have been over 30 years ago, which makes me a total dinosaur. I was on a Commodore 64 at the time. I know damn well I was. If not, I was getting close to college, so that would put me a little bit further on to the early 286 PC, 386 PC. I would say tops 30 years ago. So 1990, I still say it's the late 80s. Late 80s, early 90s. Okay, that's fair enough. So these were like the data flow diagrams. That's what it could be, is a data flow diagram. System flow chart. That's another one. See, the flow charts are different though. They look a lot more because the technology's changed. So back then it was like a lot of file operations, and there wasn't so much with network. Let me try one more. And if not, I'll just pseudocode it. Pseudocode is just a basic. As long as you, bottom line is, as long as you know what the hell it means, then okay, flowchart. System flowchart versus program flowchart. Okay, system flowchart shapes. Oh yeah. Woo. Okay, Giphy. Yeah, never mind your damn cookies. Oh God. Yeah. So the diamond is a decision. You got your arrows, which is directional flow. The processes are the squares. At end or beginning while creating a flow chart. They call it the terminator now. That's a little different. Documents, yeah, multiple documents. Okay, I haven't seen that one. Data storage, yeah, okay. So back in the day, tape data, which is really interesting because that's old school. Database would be like something like that. Data input into an older computer system. That's funny. Tape data. Data that must be accessed sequentially. Data that can be accessed in any order. Internal storage. Well, that's interesting. I don't remember seeing that one, or I don't recall that. Data stored in any format. Input, output, yep. Any manual adjustments to the flow. Off-page connector indicates the flow continues on a new page. Yeah, because so what would happen is you would have a you would basically work on an 8.5 and 11 or something bigger, like some bigger sheets, and you'd have this green plastic template sheet that had all these diagrams, and you basically wrote the flow down. There was software back in the day that would actually help you organize this data. So instead of going into a paint where you're trying to write all these rectangles, you could go in and you can actually use the software. Now the software was very, very old and barbaric in today's standards. I'm sure. Use Giphy flow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Try online. I don't want to go too far on this. Excellent connection. I'm letting it go and see what it does before it kills my connection. Of course it's 10:16 now, so by the time okay, what do we got here? Ooh! Okay. Where do I get to save it to? Oh, I see. This is going to be one of these things. Free flowchart software. Oh, that's neat. So yeah, let me see here. Well, that's kind of cool. So this is where the decision flows come in. Okay, so we start up here. Most used, yep. Flowchart. Whoa. UML class. Directional association. Oh boy. Okay, I know. Yep. So what would happen is you'd have a process here based on the decision. So this is a I thought it was a triangle. I guess it's not. Now the question is, I'm going to try to save this and see if I can save this without having to sign up for some crap. Because if I have to sign up for some crap, I may not be interested. But you start a process, you have a decision, boom, 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 and then you just go through the processes. So, but you can do this in pseudocode too. You don't need to do it through diagrams, but it's much easier to do it in a diagram format. Oh God, yeah, I can see this being a pain in the ass already. Yeah, no, forget it. Goodbye. Thanks. We're not doing that. I don't play that game. Okay. So let's just go with a brainstorming phrase. It's 10:19 tonight. I ain't gonna get very far tonight. So I'm curious. We got a fair amount of viewers on. Most people they're thinking like, what the hell's he talking about? So I'm curious, and I'm gonna check in Discord too, but I don't think anything's going on in Discord. Not really. This is the best way I can communicate right now. So whoever's on, what are you looking for in a train simulator? I'm curious how you see things. So obviously we have some good 3D simulators. We've got anytime that I see an image from Train Sim World, I mean, it does get me excited. I can't kid you. But I also know how much Train Sim World frustrates the living hell out of me. The biggest frustration I have with it is when you compare where Run 8 has gone from when it started, like 10 years ago. And I remember before version 1 actually came and hit. So I remember the late beta of Run 8. And the beta team and the testing. So I remember what it was like. I remember, going through basically running, the multiplayer, the sessions to work out whatever bugs, etc. that we could, and basically go from there. I remember some of those. And where Run 8 was there to where it is today, compared to where Train Sim World is from version 1, which I don't know when it started exactly, but it started a long way into the Run 8 process as far as I know. So it was, I don't know how many years in to where Run 8 already had on them. But it managed to still produce 3 versions. And it managed to do a lot of routes and a lot of content. So the amount of content that was thrown out there, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, we're comparing apples to oranges here. We're talking about a small company with people who are started working part-time. Most still work part-time. I think a couple work full-time. And yet, they were able to go from, when you look back at what the original version is, it's hard to, I mean, yeah, you see some of the things in there. There's a lot that's still about it, especially I would say some of the graphics, but there's still a lot of other graphic features that are so much better. And you look at Train Sim World, there's not much of a difference. I mean, other than the fact that they have released a lot of content, they really haven't done much as far as the versions. There's certain features they've just taken right out as far as the save functions. They haven't really improved on that. They haven't really added any editors. They haven't really done much of anything. I mean, and it's really disappointing for me personally, because when I heard version 3 was coming out, I thought, ooh, okay, well, what's this about? And I'm curious. People wonder why I read the Train Sim World sections on Train Sim. It's because they got potential. I think Open Rails has potential too. Now, the reason why I'm kind of diverting off into that is because I go back to that and thinking, okay, well, what gap can I fill? What is it that I can do? And when it comes to the 3D side, it scares the hell out of me, because I got a lot of learning. Even the 2D side scares the hell out of me a lot, because, I mean, I've got two pieces of software to my credit. I've got the RTS beta, which the last beta release was, God, it was before version 2 came out. It was just before version 2 came out, actually. Because I had some help towards the end. I had Mike over, just over Niagara Falls, New York there, or Buffalo, actually. And he was able to go in and help out quite a bit on that. And it was, I mean, it was a lot better. The way the processes that he added in there, he was able to go right into the file structure. And of course, he has a lot more programming knowledge, especially recent knowledge, but he was able to go into my code and he was able to find things. But still, that was a long time ago. After that, I never really developed it. Some people were hoping I was going to develop it in version 2, and honestly, I said to myself, no, they're pushing that limit now. They're making it obsolete. And I mean, yeah, there was a lot of things that got lost because of that could have been added, but of course I didn't have access, so it really didn't matter. I didn't have access to the files that I needed, and it was a lot more difficult the way the AI structure was put in play, especially by the time version 3 hit, to really do anything. So Train Sim World has only been around since 2018. Really? So they're like EA Sports. They pump out crap every year and really don't change much. My son was talking about that today, and I said, "Yeah." I says Train Sim World's kind of like the EA Sports of train simulators. I've always said that. And don't get me wrong. I mean, here, EA Sports. If you buy an EA Sports piece of software for the first time, when you buy whatever version it is, whatever version you think has the features you want, or whatever your budget is, you can buy. Heck, I can buy MLB. My son and I were talking about this because we like baseball. I was talking about getting a PlayStation 4. I might get it sooner than later, actually. We're talking about going in on PlayStation 4, because there's actually some stuff that's coming out that is more suitable for the PlayStation, the console. And I'm not talking train wise. I'm talking sports wise. I'm talking professional wrestling. There's all kinds of things that we're into. That might be what fills that little gap in, but I'm not at that point right now. Where I'm at right now is I've got this little amount of time and I can fill it up, and I know I'm going to have this amount of time, and I could have this quite a few times during a week. Who knows? But yeah. Formula knows rail works. Well, I mean, that's fine. So I mean, yeah, they have that predecessor, so they do have the background. But I mean, when you talk about between version 1 and version 3, what I was saying about EA Sports. Okay, I kid. EA Sports saying EA Sports is a complete product. So if you buy not the most recent version of MLB, the most recent version of MLB is also on PlayStation 5. But if you buy last year's MLB 2014, the only thing you're missing out on is the roster updates. That's the big selling for it, is you get the updated rosters, and you get it every year, and you might get a few extra little features here and there, but there's and a little bit of graphics difference. My son was saying, but there's really not much of a difference. And I remember that back in the days of when I used to get different EA Sports products, like the NHL for the hockey. I used to get those. I don't think I got a baseball one. I was more into the hockey side of things. That was my kind. Although I always enjoyed baseball. I really enjoy. I think I had Big Hurt Baseball and a few other ones, but anyways. So it's a complete program. Train Sim World, as great as it is to me is not a complete program, because it really, and it doesn't have to have a world. I'm not talking an editor or there has a world editor. I know this is becoming a gripe on Train Sim World again, which, hey, if it goes that way, oh well, I don't care. I'm gonna start looking, do a little bit of research this week. I don't want to do a live stream every week or every day this week or anything like that. I'm not doing that. I just had some time tonight, and the rest of the week I'll do a little bit of research and dig a little bit further, because I'm not really prepared yet, other than pseudocode, to go any further. But I can talk about where Train Sim World is totally lacking, and that is they don't have any controls in there. You got all this, like, go back to Cumberland Yard in that little free version that I had. That was my only experience in Train Sim World. I bought it for free. They actually were selling it for free in hopes that people would buy the download content for it. I didn't buy any of it, because I could give a rat's ass about the download content. I had Cumberland Yard. Why can't I operate Cumberland Yard? Why can't I create my own activities? I mean, Microsoft Train Simulator could do that, but you're telling me Train Sim World you can't edit your own friggin' activities? We're not talking about changing a world. We're talking about asset manipulation. Asset manipulation don't require it. It's nothing. It's just adding more timetables onto it. So we're not even talking about AI. We're not. I guess we are into it. I don't know what the AI system. I think their whole AI system is all scripted anyways. Which Microsoft Train Simulator was like anyways. I don't know what OpenRails has done. To be honest, I imagine it's improved, but I don't know what their activity editor's like. I know they have some editor, some third-party editor that people have worked on, but there's supposed to be another editor that's coming out. I don't know much about the open rail side of thing. To be honest, I honestly, I mean, I wish them all the best of the luck, but they're not. I mean, that's just too far back. I don't need to go that far back. That's looking backwards for me. It's reinventing. It's piling on new stuff on an old file structure, and that's okay. I mean, but the whole thing is to maintain backwards compatibility. I mean, good for them, but yeah, I think if you had that much people who were that dedicated to an open, like a truly open rail simulator, you would have built it with the best technology and the best graphics. That's just my opinion. I don't think anybody's doing it, but so be it. I guess everybody thinks there's enough beautiful software out there, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I'm starting to gripe. It's 10:33. Why not? Who cares? Hey, Switcher, how's it going? But to be honest, Train Sim World can go take a flying leap. Thinking about the three plus the what? The three. The three what? About the three. Quincy, tell me what the hell that means. The what's baking in the oven? I don't know what they got baking in the oven. Who knows what they'll have baking in the oven. The beautiful thing about Run 8 is they haven't announced anything, or at least I haven't heard anything. I mean, I do know some things, but I ain't saying. I've seen some things, put it that way. But whatever. That don't mean shit. It is what it is. I'm more interested. Well, I can't even say what I'm. Yeah, I can. I'm interested to see what Run 8 comes as far as smaller regions, and really the software is fine other than AI switching, but I don't expect AI switching. I didn't expect AI dispatching. If they just had smaller regions, even back on version 2, there was a lot you could do with that. Now they have AI humping. That I knew was coming for version 3. That alone got my attention, but the AI dispatching is what won me over. As soon as I realized that was in there, I was back in the run. I was back in version 3 in no time. The only reason why I'm not doing it right now, as I said, there's a lot on the horizon, and I want to give it a shot because it looks good. I've lost my enthusiasm for it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get it and go for it when it happens, because I'm ready. I'm ready for it right now. If it came out today, I would jump all over Railroader. I wouldn't hesitate. But until then, I'm waiting. So I got a lot of time to brainstorm and put a lot of ideas, because there may come a time where Railroader becomes old. And it might happen a lot quicker. I think it'll happen a lot quicker than Run 8, believe it or not. Good graphics are great, but you gotta have playability, you gotta have repeat playability, and on 13 miles, something tells me I might get old of that. It might get old real quick. And like I've said before, as far as smaller regions, I'm not talking about 13 miles. I'm talking about what Run 8 is capable of doing in, say, 60 miles. Or having a switching district out of 1 yard where it just does the whole thing and just, you just do a few things and you run a few industries and that's about it. Those three, AGS, Penn, and Spokane. Spokane, Washington? What's that for? AGS, Penn, and Spokane. They left it for all to find. Where did they let the find? Before update 3, those 3... Alabama, Great Southern. Where did they say all that? I'm curious. Like I said, it's still on my hard drive. I still got my rail driver here. I'm ready to go. It's in the version 3 roots vegetation textures. So okay. In the version 3 roots is it an actual directory, or is it an actual image that actually says this? That's interesting. I knew nothing about that. I haven't heard anything about it because TrainSim don't say shit. But that's interesting. That's new to me. And they worry about me having non-disclosure agreements, huh? I can assure you, I knew nothing about any new regions other than what we already know is coming, which is Fitzgerald sub. That's the only thing I knew of. I haven't heard of anything else. I've seen the quote-unquote smaller regions, which flashes on their webpage and has been since the beginning, but Run 8 has delivered on version 3. I got my money's worth for version 3. I could go back to it, but that's not where my heart is. But if they have a region that attracts me, that's interesting. Easter eggs. Yeah, I know you found Fitzgerald and you called Donner. I don't trust me. I'm all curious, but yeah, we'll see. Takes a while to build these routes. They're a small team, so they only have so many people, so it's gonna take a while. I guess it, as usual, it'll be ready when it's ready, and it is what it is. So they're all hush hush about it, but well, that's good. Yeah, so we'll see what's coming for them. Like I said before, I wish them all the best. I really do. I hopefully, I don't think, honestly, this isn't my last time in Run 8. I don't believe it is. Despite whatever ambitions I have, whatever comes with Railroader, I got a weird feeling I'm going to be back in it someday. But as it is right now, I have stronger ambitions in mind. So when I get back, but this is the thing with them. Even without the roots or whatever, and it's great that they're working on that, because I think that's what they need the most. They need the extra roots, the content, the variation, not the variation of scenery so much, just the variation of the size of the region and the scope of the project. Get an area that's nice and small, and that people who are single player can run. And then that also gives a lot of opportunity, because the more regions you put in, the more servers that have an opportunity to flourish, which is great, I think. HSC Spokane. Where does the word Penn goes into that, though? I was thinking like Penn Central or something, but well, but anyways, going back to what I can do, or what I can fill into the whole ideas. So I mentioned the different software that I've done. I told you about the beta. The other one that I did was very recent, actually, and I did it this year, and that was, I haven't released it, and I think I may release it, or release the source codes of both the original RTS as well as this one. And that is a very small little routine that went through and did the AEI files. That worked with XMLs as well. But everything with Run 8 worked with XMLs. So I have the experience parsing those files. Worst case scenario is I can take the XML files that come with the street data, pop in the coordinates, and I would have at least a schematic to work off of. And then from there, fill out figure the coordinates, so I can convert it over to how many, whatever coordinate system I want to use, feet or meters or whatever, and I can then figure out, basically plotting using those figures, convert it over to meters or feet or whatever the coordinate system is, and I would then have a map, whether it be 2D or 3D, because it can work for 3D as well. In fact, where I saw the first video that caught my eye was they were using it to draw. I think it was in Unity, and there's an automatic parser in Unity that actually will go in. There's a few things. Number one, it can go into Unity, and it can also go into XML. I think it's XML. No. What am I talking about? That is XML. SQL. I'm familiar with SQL as well. SQL is a database system. I learned it back in, you guessed it, college. So I am familiar with it. I kind of dealt with SQL a little bit, but I really haven't touched a lot of the things that I learned. I mean, I knew DBase 4 too back in the day, and DBase 4 I actually used to do an entire business system for a company in Welland, Ontario. And I did the entire business system. It's a small business, so I did the payroll. This was before, QuickBooks really had a hold, so I was able to do the payroll and the check printing and inventory and all kinds of different systems I was able to throw in there. It was not 100%. I didn't get to really debug it as much as I wanted to, so it had its issues, but it worked. You just had to be careful about it. It was kind of weird. I don't know how much they used it or whatever, but so that's my experience. And then further that, you got to go way back to before that. You have to go back to the Commodore 64 days, whatever the hell I learned in school, etc. Commodore 64, I did a lot of different things. I was even doing machine code. But I'm essentially have this dinosaur background, even if you go back 30 years. I mean, it changes so much in IT. But the fundamentals for system design change the same. Pseudocodes are pseudocodes. Designing and planning and figuring out how you want to do things like logic or logic. It's the same in electronics. So the same design is used. An AND operation basically means you need two situations to happen to allow the flow to continue, otherwise it doesn't. An OR can take either one. So if one thing happens or another thing happens, it does. You can do and nots, or nots, if then else. There's so many different logical patterns that a flowchart can take. And All you have to do is go through the process. So if I was to go into, say, a train dispatcher, and I write down the process of how I would dispatch, because I have the experience of doing it, and I act like, basically I act at, even though I can dispatch really fast and I can come up with decisions, because the brain is the best computer out there, but it's also garbage in, garbage out. I shouldn't say that. The brain's not garbage in, garbage out. The computers are garbage in, garbage out. So they can be super fast. They can do all kinds of things that even the brain can't do. But the brain has the intellect and the ability to go in and just basically, it has a way of managing data and being able to figure out processes and figure out how to solve problems a lot better than what computers can do. Computers can calculate. They're just they're basically calculators. They're calculators, they're logic machines, they're I mean, you think Commander Data in Star Trek. I mean, it's just like, that's all it is. It's just processing. He can calculate and come up with calculations and shoot whatever. But if it's a routine operation, then it doesn't take much. So that's where I have to get those flow charts in, and the flows. So how do I go about it? Okay, so one of the rules I do is every 15 minutes for a dispatching, and I've mentioned this before in the past. Every 15 minutes, I will go through every train that's in the system and every train that's coming within the next 30 minutes, and I will put them at least 30 minutes ahead. So that gives an overlap. The overlap then allows me to alter depending upon how far the train is progressing. So I give them 30 minutes, I give them 30. If it's conflicting, that's when I start going into further logic. So then I look at, okay, I'll look at, do I know this train's going to get here in time? Do I know this train is a certain priority? Do I know this train's going to fit into the siding? Does this train have any work? There's all kinds of variables, but it can be done as long as you use the same process every time. Run8 has their own process. I don't know how they do it. That's fine. I may or may not share those processes with you on live stream. I was going to start doing some stuff, but I knew I wasn't going to get too deep into it because it gets a lot deeper. Once you start the pseudocodes, once you start going in, the question is, am I going 2D or 3D? But before I can even go 3D, I have to have the 2D processes in. There's two main AI things that, if you notice early on, that I said was going to repeat in both. The two processes are AI switch or AI dispatching first and foremost. That's the big one. It's in Run8. It's got to be in this. If it's not in that, I cannot open up an advantage. And I'm not saying I'm trying to be an advantage over Run8. Number one, I'm not trying to beat Run8, especially not in the physics side. I don't care. They can have the physics. I don't want the physics. I'm not trying to necessarily compete with Run8. What I'm trying to do is offer my vision and what I see that certain simulators could do. Not saying that they should, but it's my vision. It's my opportunity to put my vision out there. So why wouldn't I go with AI switching? And that's the next one. So I put AI dispatching. That's a prerequisite. It always was. Even before Run8 put it in version 3. It was a prerequisite for me. I had to have AI dispatching. then I have to have AI switching. The reason why, now the AI switching, another one. What does a conductor do? What does a yardmaster do? What tracks do they use? Why do they use that track? You go through the whole logic steps. You go through each one. Boom, 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 boom. It makes decisions. The big things that you've seen, and you notice it in Run 8, is they come up into what they call cornfield meets. So a cornfield meet is a slang term used in railroads where two trains are basically staring at each other. Now, safety systems are in place so that a cornfield meet it would only occur at a control point. It would not allow an opposing movement in between control points unless there was some type of rule to pass a signal, which you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to put that in there unless there is specific requirements for both trains to understand what their limits are. So a cornfield meet that happens, it's happened in Microsoft Train Simulator for years. I used to remember some of the, if your timing was off and all of a sudden you're running and you have a green signal, you're looking at the green signal, all of a sudden it flips yellow on you. Well, it isn't the dispatcher's dropping a signal. It means suddenly a train is coming your way, and you're gonna wind up basically going head on with that train. So it's like, and the thing back then is it didn't care about you. It just went through, and then there was a nice collision and cars going everywhere, and yeah. So it happened all the time. It was quite frustrating when it happened, but you knew it was going to happen, and the only thing you could do is back up or do something stupid, which totally took you out of the element. But I don't know if they still have cornfield meets like that. Their cornfield meets are a lot more dangerous. Run 8, at least they stop it to where their trains are just looking at each other, and just like, okay, well, now where do I go? Usually there's a way around it. They sometimes still have options. They just don't know how to dispatch themselves around them or something. But a lot of times they're in a situation where they got themselves into a mess and they got trains plugged up on the main line and they can't get around. Those situations can be prevented, and usually prevented by a competent dispatcher. The thing about dispatching is dispatcher's got to be number one competent. He can't have cornfield meets, but some dispatchers are more efficient than others. The AI dispatcher should not be more efficient than the human being. You think it would be, but again, it's about the problem solving. It's about the ability to come up with solutions and come up with logic. Again, a computer is only garbage in, garbage out. Doesn't matter how good you program it. It's got the human intuition and the way that it can, think about different situations and all that. It's very difficult to develop, because if it could, it already would. You would already have AI dispatching it. Now, there is some AI dispatching in certain situations, especially commuter. Don't know about commuters, but I know some systems. Vancouver's rapid transit system has it, where it's all AI. It can be overseen, or at least basically monitored, or at least communications wise. There would always be a human around, but for the most part the dispatching would take place by AI, because you had a limited length, you had certain siding lengths, you had different you had schedule, you had all kinds of things that could help alleviate the traffic congestion. So, but it's a lot different when you're talking about freights and you're talking about priority and length of siding, especially now when you get these higher. God, I don't even want to think of all these stupid I don't even want to deal with the stupid 2, 3, 4 mile trains. Forget that. But anyways, let me read the comments here. I'll stop yapping. But anyways, that's what I'm up against. But again, who knows how far I go there. I wasn't ready to go here. I didn't think I was going here until 2022 or 2023 to be honest. But I'm already starting to think about it, so that's good. And no, I'm not going to get into a simulator right now. At least not train simulator wise. I might get into something else or do something else at night, or who knows, maybe I'll find another hobby. Once baseball season ended, I found I had a lot more time on my hands, so so I found Fitzgerald. I called Donner. Oh, I see. Okay, I've read up all the comments. So, but anyways, yeah, that's it for tonight. I've saved my whatever there. I'll probably work on some pseudocode possibly later this week. I don't know. It's not going to be a process where I spend too much time on it, I don't think. But at least now I'm starting to think about it. So one thing I want you guys and anybody else, and there's only 3 viewers on right now, and who knows how many people get to do this. In the if you go to rts.freeforums.net, I think that's it. Let me double check on that, because I don't know. RTS, standing for Railroad Transportation Simulator or Systems, or however you want to do it. Yeah, so rtsfreeforums.net. This is our forum here. If you're not a member already, stop by. If you're not, you can check out anything here where we discuss about different future projects, and different things. Somebody was asking about, well, what the hell's RTS? RTS has been a lot of things. It's been a server, it's been a concept, it's been all, we've had all kinds of different roles depending upon the situation. Bottom line is, if there's a good enough simulator out there that I can attach myself to, I'm going to do it. I would much rather play something that is good, that fits our needs, that I can get myself into and stay into. Run 8 is one of those that I was able to attach myself for years. And like I was saying earlier in the video, I don't think it's over with Run 8. I think Run 8 is going to probably end up surprising me in 2023 or even sooner. I just have that feeling. And a part of me wants it to. As much as I have ideas, it's scary. It's scary getting out there and trying to put your dreams out on the line. And I don't care about the critics. I don't care about the haters, and I don't care about the people who, people think that I worry about what people, people. Here's an oxymoron. People think that I care about what other people think. Oh, that is horrible. Oh, Jesus, Murphy. Bottom line, I caught myself as I was saying that. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm just saying what people think and talking about what people think. But anyways, I caught myself. For the most part, let's just say, I'm not worried about what critics say, what certain haters, what people, got a thorn up their ass, or whatever the case may be, as far as what I go out there and dream about and do. The bottom line is, I have produced. And I could just as easily, and I was thinking about doing that. I was thinking about just releasing it. It's not a big deal. It's very little code, actually, and it's not gonna. Nobody's been asking for it, so I really don't care too much to really go out there, rush it, compile it, and say, here's how this program works. Enjoy. most of my code has been for my purposes only. I do a lot of the things just for me. And honestly, I'm going to do this. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for me first. I'm going to do it. I'm not doing it to please everybody. And again, that means I don't care what people think. However, that being said, I do care about ideas that people do have. I care about, and the reason why I say that is because if there's a lot of people that are really hungry for something, and they got to be hungry for it. They got to want something as much as I do. Because if other people are not as hungry as me or as interested in me into a certain simulator or looking for it and are quite content to do Train Sim World or wait to see what's Run 8's coming or whatever, and they got other projects and they keep themselves busy and who knows what, maybe I'm more demanding and maybe I have higher demands. So in that case, if there's not as much demand for me to produce something, I'm probably not going to be as inspired as much, because then I'm going to ask myself, okay, well, what's in it for me? And when I go into the what's in it for me part, it's always about, is it something that's going to fulfill my needs and fill in a gap that might generate, that makes people realize, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think I really needed that. Or I never really thought that this program was going to, get my attention, but all of a sudden, holy crap, he's got something. It's a lot scarier, especially when you don't have the experience. But you all got to start, you have to start somewhere. I'm 50 years old. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna do like a Tetris type game? Is that gonna be my first dive into something or doing something stupid and wasting my time? No. I want to do something that I think I'm capable of doing, or at least try to. And I know a lot of people who've done just that. There's young people out there who have, I know the first program they've produced, for example, is Subsistence. Subsistence is a great program. I've featured it on this channel before. And when I see something like that, that's a sole developer. And not only did he, I don't know how the hell he's done it. I don't use Subsistence these days. I've gone on, like, basically what I'm doing right now with Medieval Dynasty is more up my line than what Subsistence is. But he still has had a strong enough following that he ended up quitting his job. And he's doing it full time. Now, I don't know what the hell his money source is other than Subsistence, because he has no add-on software, so I don't know how the hell he does it. But for whatever reason, he put all of it into it. Maybe he's got ideas for a future version. I don't know what he's doing. But he had a dream and he went for it. Good for him. But he was able to follow through and he was able to deliver. He's much more dedicated to the craft than me, and a lot more hungrier, and probably a lot more capable than I am. For me, it's not a pipe dream so much. A pipe dream is saying, yeah, I'm going to build Train Sim World. Well, no, I'm not. As much as Train Sim World could be missing, there's no way I'm going to be able to do what Train Sim World does. But if I can get a little close and get some graphics, that's really the ambitious side of me. Can I get the graphics even close enough and still add all the features I'm talking about? And why is the AI important? The AI is important because that's what, for me, allows anybody to come in, operate a railroad, and not have to worry about the passage of time. So they can come in at any time, take any position, and the railroad will operate seamlessly. Fast forward, you can fast forward time in single player. That's another feature, because if it's capable of doing AI, it means it's capable of doing AI at a much faster rate. So if, say for example, you don't want to run the boring A to B run that's coming up, but you really want to run that local, but you don't want to lose the progress you've made in some other local or some other regional whatever, you fast forward. You just fast forward the clock. Because you're the only one running, you're not doing multiplayer or whatever, and you fast forward it. So you're able to pick it up where it started off, and suddenly now you get to run the train that you want to run because you're getting home from work at 5:30. You just had supper or whatever, and you want to run some trains, and this is the train that you've been thinking about running all day, and sure enough, there's the train you got. But everything about it, as far as what is on it, what its consist is, what the traffic is going to be like on the railroad, everything is totally, it's not totally random, but it's totally built up upon the decisions and the AI that have taken it that far from where you last left off. And that's the key. It's able to fill in for those other users that you wish you had and you don't, or you or the AI you wish you had and you didn't. Now you have it. That's important to me, and I think those AIs are definitely attainable. I know the AI dispatching is. I think the AI switching is as well. I think those are two things that I'm capable of putting the logic in. Now, as far as the 3D side's ambitious because I haven't got a friggin' clue about getting into 3D graphics and all that other stuff. But I do know how to do 2D, and I believe I can get at least rudimentary graphics in there to plot a 2D map and to have a freight yard manager type interface in a 1-to-1 ratio, be able to run trains throughout a network, and most of all have it capable of expanding the network to other people very seamlessly. So they're able to connect to it. If I was able to do Niagara, somebody else could do Buffalo, New York, somebody else could do whatever, and then just, before you know it, you have all this data, and all I'm doing is just increasing the network like crazy. The difference between what California is and Run 8 right now is it takes a lot of manpower to do that network. Well, if it takes a lot of manpower to do the network, which is what stops it from being able to run in real time, what I'm saying is let go of that and fill in for the lack of manpower with AI, and then suddenly you're able to do everything. That, to me, is the ultimate dream. So, in a way, that has nothing to do with 3D. The eye candy gets you going, and you want to do 3D, but in the end of the day, if I can just get that 2D portion, I remember times where I ran Freight Yard Manager, and I was quite happy and content. Now, mind you, it was before Run 8. So, Freight Yard Manager was before Run 8, and I'm pretty sure everything was before Run 8 as far as that. So Run 8 was a different level on its own. It kept me around for 10 years. Freight Yard Manager, it kept me around until I didn't have time anymore, and I had I got a real job and didn't have time to be staying up to 4 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm just rambling, and that's it for now, and there's no comments for now. But anyways, again, the forum, feel free to comment on here. Just go over to rts.freeforums.net, and of course I'll have more videos. I'll try to do one a week or something like that. Maybe next weekend I'll update if I have anything new. But that's it for now, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye-bye.